let's talk about meh. Whoo-wee. Lordy Lord. I am 2 weeks behind my filming schedule that I had planned out for myself. It's been a couple of months. Wow. I am tired, I am sore, and I'm very, very burnt out. So yeah, I am forcing myself to sit here and do this, and I'm very, very tired. But I enjoy doing this, and I always feel better after I've had a wee rant in front of the mic and the camera. So what are we going to talk about today? Today, I want to talk about Game Over. Game Over, man! So I want to talk about Game Over, which was the final show of Combat League Wrestling that was held at the end of November. This year, my wrestling career, it hasn't been great. It's been a tough year on the wrestling front. I've been badly injured with probably the worst niggling injury I've had in 11 and a half or so years of doing this. My issue this year is that my hip keeps going when I work my matches, and it's agonizing. I cannot tell you how painful it is. A lot of the times I've gone out, done my performance, and nothing bad happens in the ring, thankfully. But then I get backstage instantly, and then it's like this dull ache in my hip, and it becomes worse and worse and worse to the point where I'm lying on the floor, and I can't move. And when the show's over, Mr. Dunbar packs me in his car, drives me home, and I collapse on my couch, and then I can't walk for a week. And then, as the years gone on, the pain has not gone away. Every morning I wake up and it's there. Every step I take, it's pinching right at this pain in my hip and in my lower back, and it's been bad. Not every show, but most shows this year, it's gone. So mentally, it's been draining and has really, really sucked the fun out of wrestling this year, and training. It's limited me in training as well because it's always there, no matter what I do, and it's just been hard going. I did seek professional help. I go see a sports therapist, and I'm going to get in big trouble because I can't remember the name of the company, so I will put a graphic or something up now because they are great. They're fantastic. They've really helped me the last 2 years, or a year. I guess I've been just about a year I've been going. Fantastic service, great, really, really reliable and really nice. Just all around nice. And eventually the hip thing just wasn't getting better with the sports therapist, so I was encouraged to go see a physio. Here comes the other bit of oomph. So I went to the GP and said, look, my hip's killing me and I need a bit of help with it, and I'm really worried that, it could be the end of me doing wrestling. So the GP said, right, we'll refer you to the physio. Now, my wife was in the office with me at the time, so I wasn't just going crazy. I heard it, my wife heard it. We will refer you to the physio. I waited 4.5 months thinking I was on a waiting list or something. Nah. Went back to the GP, finally chased it because the pain had just reached a point where I was just, I couldn't cope. And the referral was not put through. There was nothing. Nothing went through. So I was very, very upset. Luckily, but also at the same time, annoyingly, they were like, "Oh yeah, we've got in-house physios now, so they'll see you next week." So I waited 4.5 months for something I could have got within a week. Anyway, moving on. So I went to see the physio, and they were fantastic as well. A little bit of shimmying, a little bit of moving. I went in there thinking that I was going to be twisted and bent and moved and no, it was a gentle pulling of my pelvis and then a gentle pulling of the leg and a bit of realignment, and we found out what's wrong. So I've landed badly on my hip. I know when I did it. It's no one's fault. It's just one of that things. It happens. And the impact was so hard on it that I forget the actual name of the actual part of it. But you know when you see a picture of your pelvis or a pelvis bone, not specifically your pelvis, but a pelvis bone, it's the big bit at the top. So on the left-hand side, what's happened is I've landed on my hip and it's shunted upwards, and that big bone bit has got stuck in my muscle fibers, and it's healing and it's keeping the bone in the wrong place. So I have to keep pulling it down. I've got rehab for it, which is very painful, but there's been a slow improvement, which is better than just being in agony all the time. So that has been a huge factor this year with the wrestling that's just zapped all the fun of it for me. Also, my wrestling promotion, we were doing for 2.5 years. I created a unique rule set, a unique gimmick, if you will, for the entire promotion, where it was wrestlers were on teams the whole year, which we called houses. We had House Wolf, House Wildcat, House Stag, and House Raven. Each house had their own little theme music, and you would fight for points the entire year, and then the final show of the year would be the season final, and you'd have a house standing tall. I loved that concept. I was immensely proud of it. I made the rule sets from nearly every type of wrestling in the world. We were using Mexican or lucha tag rules. We were using Japanese countouts. We were using old school British public warning systems, which we've kept. We've kept the lucha tag rules as well. But yeah, I absolutely loved the format. I was so proud of it. It was my baby. And halfway through this year, well, not halfway through this year, it was we did 2 shows, and then on the third one, it was so difficult to expect performers, not local trainees, but people from down in lower end of Scotland and Glasgow and Ayrshire. It was becoming more and more difficult to have a roster of 12 wrestlers, which isn't a lot really, but to have the same 12 be reliable the whole year. And it wasn't their fault. I mean, people have lives, and there are other promotions out there that give better opportunities, more exposure. So there was 2 shows in, we were chopping and changing houses so much, and it was so stressful. I cannot tell you how stressful it is. Booking wrestling shows and managing people, and it's not even the storyline stuff, just in general, is really stressful. And it was becoming very, very difficult. And unfortunately, I had to make the decision to stop doing my baby. And so we reverted very early on to traditional wrestling, which is, just straight up fights and storylines. And on the one hand, much better. It's easier flow, it's straightforward, and it just makes the whole sort of like, you can instead of having the same 12 every year for the audience, they get to see more talent, they get to see different wrestlers. So on that front is good. And obviously I've mentioned in my podcast with Ricky, who is RJ Cash, which is on the YouTube channel. Go check that out because it's a really good chat. I'm looking forward to getting another chat with him. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, I had to say goodbye to my baby and revert to a traditional format. And then we have Mr. Dunbar, who's currently booking and making really, really great strides with fantastic little storylines and is keeping everyone included. And he just wants to do the best for everyone that's performing. Me personally, because I was doing it for 10 years, having to write all the storylines and keep everyone happy, it's not a job that I can keep doing at the moment. Having more people helping me, which I should have asked for years ago. It's my own fault. But having more people helping me with things like that has been fantastic. Alex is also helping with the social media side, but she's doing a great job with that as well. And having reliable folk with me and the trainees are really, really killing it just now. So on that front, there's a lot of positives. I sound like I'm being negative like the whole year. It's just been bloody miserable with wrestling. It hasn't. It's more me. It's my personal injuries and whatnot. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. You're rambling, Dave. Moving on. So yeah, let's talk about Game Over. It was the final show of the year, and going into it, there was a lot of stresses. A lot. It was a struggle to be motivated with the pain I was in. I think the way I'm going to approach this is I'm not going to talk about the whole show from other people's perspective. I'm going to try and just give it from my perspective and focus on my match. I'm going to be selfish. Me. So for me, I was really, really worried about if I was going to be able to do the performance. And was the during the performance was the hip going to go? Was I going to be able to walk after it? And how much pain was I going to be in? It was really just messing with me. I'd taken 2 months off of training, which is the longest I've ever taken off. And obviously your health and your cardio drops a bit. I did do 2 sessions before the show to get myself back in some form of ring shape. And luckily, the plan was that it wasn't a straight kind of showcase wrestling match. It was a gimmick match, which is weapons, because it was a grudge match with the storyline. I was very, 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 very bad to Brody Adler, and my character Arkham attacked her and beat her up and whipped her with a belt. Sorry. And then she got a little bit of vengeance with me in October and battered me with a kendo stick and threw me out of the Monster Mash Rumble. And so this was like the big stramash. And it was going to be a grudge match, and we had a street fight, falls count anywhere. So that worked in my favor because when you have weapons involved, you don't have to necessarily, be doing like running spots and all the lifts and technical wrestling and lots of bumpy bumps. It's twatting each other with items and weapons and trying to make interesting spots and tell a really good story with the weapons. Well, that's how I do them anyway. I like telling stories with weapons. I don't like just going, right, we'll do this for the sake of it, we'll do that for the sake of it, this'll look cool, that'll look cool. I really, really like escalation. So you start with like the small weapons, and then you just build it as you go, because then that builds the excitement with the crowd, and then you end with a big boom. And going into it, I have to say that on the day, I really picked up. Me and Brody were really on the same page with what we wanted to tell story-wise. And I feel there was never a point when we were both creatively at a standstill. We didn't really have, I want to do this, I want to do that. There wasn't really any compromise. We both were just like, right, we'll do this, we'll do that, we're happy with this, we're happy with that. We walked in, we were really both in a good mood, which helps. And yeah, it just flowed. It flowed brilliantly. The planning wise, we walked around the venue, we said we're going to do this, said we're going to do that, and it was it. It was done. We had the match planned within really quickly. And we had all the weapons laid out and what we wanted to do. And yeah, I think we went over it, like, talked it over like 2-3 times in the back, and that was it. I'm just checking my notes. So yeah, so the match went off pretty much without a hitch, and it was good fun. I am, for those that don't know, I'm going to put a wee video up here while I'm chatting. So I've also gone through a change in my character this year. I was face or a good guy at the start of the year, and there was a plan that I wanted to do to turn bad, and I was sitting on it for must be about a year and a half, and I was going to do the big turn when it was still the house system, and thankfully I was talked out of doing it to remain face and have a big face moment, which was one of my most favorite moments I've had in wrestling. It wasn't because of me; it was because everyone around me built up that moment, and I yeah, it's nice when you have big celebrating moments like that, and I've never had one like that. But I really wanted to do this new character, and now that I'm doing the character, I am having more fun than I've had in years. And I've never done a character like this before. I usually just play straight up. Ooh, I'm a crazy madman when I'm heel. This time I'm going for horror, spooky. Um, I have some really interesting elements. Like I wear white contacts. I wipe my eyes out. I've always wanted to do that, and it's really creeping the audience out. I'm wearing red, and it's mixtures of like striped trousers, gothic kind of like waistcoat, and it's almost got a circus look to it, like a Victorian circus vibe. The music I'm using, I've really meticulously chose that. I went through so many different songs. I've got my entrance down, and every time I go out, the character's coming out more and more. I twitch. There's this random tick that I do, and then it's getting stronger and stronger. And so, for anyone that watches these videos and goes to the show, the tick is actually real. The little twitches that I do, they're real. So I was diagnosed autistic when I was 29, 30, and a diagnosis doesn't mean anything. It's a piece of paper you get that says, right, you're autistic. I wasn't, and it was 3 45-minute appointments that were tests that I weren't aware they were tests, and then at the end of it, they go, "Yep, you're autistic." I didn't receive any help after that. I have asked multiple times, and the best I can get is forums on a website or go to Inverness. But I've learned so much the last 7 8 years, and I'm still learning. And as I've gone on, I've realised that I've masked, which is I've built a persona in my real life that's not me. Ever since I was a child. So the last sort of 7 years, and especially the last 3 years, I've been slowly breaking that down. And I've got way more traits than I thought I had, and it's been tough. It's been difficult. I've had therapy with it as well. A lot of my childhood was pretty traumatic. I've not had an easy life, and then with the autism on top of it, and because my autism was not seen, recognized, or known about when I was younger, it caused more trauma, which caused me to mask harder. So yeah, I'm trying to break down the mask, and with that, I'm beginning to realize that in certain situations, I fidget more, I flap, I say we call it stimming. I can be very like mobile and twitchy. So the first time I went out as this new character, I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do. And it was during the Luke Matthews and Sean Fagan versus Harbinger and Cypher. I didn't know what was going to happen. I got my entrance, which I had planned. It went very well, and I made a poor girl cry very badly with my entrance because it's very scary. I'm sorry. You know who you are if you're watching this. It was the reaction I wanted, and then some. Um, but yeah, so as it was happening, I was telling myself, don't overthink it, Dave. Relax. And I relaxed more and more. So this crazy character was coming out the vocals. I was mouthing off to Luke Matthews. I was just things that were coming out of my mouth. I was messing with the crowd. It was so much fun. Um, I wasn't even wrestling in that match because of my hip, but I was just making such a rant and rave. and I really enjoyed it. But then what started happening was I was twitching, and the twitch is real, and it's a nervous, it's a stim, it's an autistic thing, and if I pull my mask down as best I can, it comes out. So then I started, every time it was coming, I would growl, so it started turning into this noise, and it just keeps doing it, and I've kept it. It's part of the character now, and it makes me feel more comfortable because I'm being a little bit more my authentic self. It's just very strange. Um, and I'm quite proud of it because I'm honestly struggling with my autism at the moment. I'm really struggling with it. It's a tough time of year, the winter time, and I'm be honest, I'm not great mentally right now. But having something I having an issue with, having that tech and then turning it into using it in the character is just really. I'm genuinely beaming about it now. Um, and it got so when I was in the match with Brody, it it just kept coming out, and it was worse than ever. But I loved every second of doing it, just the twitching. Um, and the angle that I'm going for now is my new moniker when I'm announced is I'm the Demon of Combat League. So it looks like I'm being possessed. I paint my face white, paint my lips black, and blacken my eyes with the contacts. And without hitting the nail on the head, it's not overly direct, but the point of it is that I'm possessed. There's something inside of me that's trying to get out, and yeah, it's just been great fun performing it, and having the opportunity to try and do this in this match with Brody was a lot of fun. The match went off without a hitch. We did. It was nice. It was safe. We had great fun knocking the seven shades of shit at each other, which we tend to do. I really like working Brody, um, and Brody on a personal level. Seeing where Brody was a few years ago to where she is now, and giving. I've said like before that Combat League's the bubble. It's a space to be creative. It's a space to find yourself. It's a space to practice techniques or see what works, see what doesn't work. And Brody is someone that's a prime example of what Combat League can offer. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed seeing where Brody is to where she is now. She's such a talent, an absolute talent, and hits like a brick shit house. um, the one of the funniest moments that I remember during this match was I took a Samoan drop, and it was like I rotated in with it because Brody's got quite a unique Samoan drop where it's a pull and a drop, and it was when we hit the floor, it was like, and I knew when I hit the floor, I was like, oh my god! Then I was like, oh yeah, that hit really well. It was perfect. Mwah! But the funny thing was that there's a safety check in wrestling, which is a little squeezes of the hand. So Jenny, the ref, who's again I cannot praise enough. Jenny has been reffing for about a year now, maybe a year, two. I don't know. Ooh. But yeah, Jenny's been on it. Everyone, all the trainees this year have been on it. They really have. So if I'm just naming one person, don't think I'm leaving you. I think of you all. But Jenny was like, she's in with the safety, so I hit the floor, nice and flat. Air leaves me. Have that split second of, and then I'm proud. And I'm like, yeah, that was good. That was good. The crowd's like, oh, and that's what we want. And then I feel Jenny in this hand squeezing for the safety, and I squeeze back, and that's me letting her know I'm good. I'm good. It went off without a hitch. We're fine. But then I feel this hand get squeezed by by Brody. So I've got them both safety checking me, and I just had this moment of like, I am loved and cared for. And it turns out that Alex thought she broke my arm or something because my arm fed through. But I assure you, it was fine. I had planned that. And you didn't land on my arm. I've just got an awkward way of feeding it through. So you're good. Because I know you like that wee curve on your drop. So I try and like hook through almost like a crucifix. But yeah, the Samoan went really, really good. I apologize. The video was such a ramble. But yeah, so we did all the weapon spots, had fun. Baking trays, we whacked each other with baking trays. Fun story about the baking trays. So I use a certain brand, and the irony is that that brand is called Wham. I think they know what they're doing. Baking trays make a lovely like wha-pow when you hit each other with it. And I went to go buy some on that day. I went into the store and I looked at the price of the ones that I wanted. And I was like, I ain't paying that amount of money for something that's getting one use and is being bent across my head. And I wouldn't say I was a cheapskate like everyone else right now. The economy is in the fucking shitter. So everything's a stupid price. And I was like, I'm not paying that much for baking trays. I'm not. So I went for the slightly smaller baking trays. And again, testing them out in the shop. If someone was looking, it'd be weird, but pow, 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 pow. Ah, these are good. These are good. So the spot comes up in the match. We both have baking trays. And I hit. I go for the hit. Brody ducks. Turns around. She hits me. She hits me, and she hit me perfectly fine. It wasn't a safety issue at all. She hit me exactly how hard you should hit me. And I went, ooh. I was like, yeah, I should have forked it for that bigger one. Because the little ones were not bending. And then we're just going back and forth with these baking trays. And it's like, ow, 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 ow. So yeah, I won't be such a cheapskate next time. But we were fine. We were fine. Now, to the big thing. So I wanted to use a bin in this match, and locally, it's got to be a steel bin. We can't go wheeling plastic wheelie bins in. They'll just do no help. So it was a steel bin. And we can't use ones locally, or like Lidl's is always selling the incinerators. They're too hard. They're solid. They're so rigid. So I went on Amazon and I found a bin for must have been like £10 or something. And it was a steel bin. And when it arrived, I couldn't have been happier because the moment I took it out of the box, it made noise. It was very rattly and it's ba-bam, bam, bam, very echoey. I even had a little dent in the side to show that it was going to move when we needed it, which I fixed that dent. So I come up with the bright idea of, right, we need a big finish. We need a finish, Brody. We need a big, big moment. And the moment I had in my mind was my mangled body lying in the middle of the ring with Brody standing tall. This is an image that I had, and I wanted it to be like, I have to have chaos in the ring. We need a couple of weapons lying there. We're going to be sweating disheveled anyway because we're going to kick the shit out of each other, which we did. I was like, right, powerbomb me from the middle rope onto the bin. Immediately, Brody's like, nah, that bin's not going to crush, man. You're going to be like Homer Simpson, just going to over it. And I was like, no, that'll crush. That's easy. It'll crush. It's really, really like tinny metal. It'll crush under my fat ass. And crush it did. So we get to the spot. I take the power bump. I actually have a moment where it didn't go as clean as I would have liked it to. I'm a terrible bumper. I will admit this. I am absolutely crap at bumping. It is something that all my trainees are better at bumping than me. I am terrible at it. I'm safe, but like elbows, hands, sometimes a head turn. If I'm being lifted and thrown backward, yeah, I'm not the best at it. So I have this annoying moment in the footage where I hold on a little bit too much, but annoyingly, I have to take as I'm going down, I take a second glance to look. That annoys me. But Alex slash Brody is so strong that I fully expected to feel me sitting on the shoulders, and I would expect, to feel something. But she was so strong and stable. I didn't even realize that I wasn't actually standing on the rope anymore, and I'm waiting for that feel of something. So I don't realize that we're going, and I hold on to the rope just a smidge too long, and it kind of it just looked a bit. It looked great, but it's just me overthinking. But I was like, "Are we going yet? Are we going yet?" And she's just so strong, and I was like, "Oh crap, we are going!" And then I hit the bin, and the bin makes a lovely noise, and then it crushes, and I'm feeling fine. It hurt hitting it, but it wasn't long-term pain. It sucked, but it was like, oh, right, okay, good. And then you hear the crowd going, oh, and then because I'm a bad guy and I've been nasty through the whole match, huge roar. They're so happy. The big finish of the match, 1, 2, 3, absolute chaos, crowds roaring and shouting, and at that moment, it doesn't matter how much pain I'm in, that's what you like to hear. You know you've done a good job, and you know that the crowd really enjoyed it. And I actually feel, which I'm really grateful to my community for, once the actual initial cheer went down, there was a lot of applause, like actual clapping. So I felt like there was a little bit of respect there too. I could be overlooking into it, but I felt good at the end of it. Now, the next bit, not so much. So I'm lying there, and I lay there for ages, and let Alex slash Brody have her moment, which she thoroughly deserved. Um, and then as she left, I did like a possession twitch, and then sort of like sat up like the demon had lifted me up from the ground, my mangled body, and it put me back together. And then I shuffled backstage um, to add more to the sort of character and that. And I got boos as I left, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Boo. And but anyway, as I was lying on the bin and Brody celebrating, I felt this kind of like burn, and it was on my left arm, and I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute! I recognize that burn. That's a cut burn." So, ooh, okay, right. So I've nicked my arm a little bit. Then I went backstage and um, got some nice thumbs up, and I got some nice, just quick, nice feedback from Mr. Booker, and it was very much appreciated. Really helped my confidence and made me proud that I had done the job that I was supposed to do for the night, because that's the important bit for me now, because I'm not fully writing stories and things. I can focus more on my work, and at the moment, shut up, email. At the moment, I really want to do the job I'm given well, and that's all. That's all I want to do right now. But yeah, then I went and spoke to Brody in the back, make sure she's okay. And she straight away was like, "You got juice, man!" And I had blood just pouring to my arm. And yeah, the bin unfortunately was so cheap that the moment I had crushed into it, the basically the folded metal over the top of the sides that had kept it together just pinged off, and it turned into sheet metal, and it sliced me. Not overly bad. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing ever. But then over the last 2 weeks, I've literally turned into a peach. I'm so bruised. I'm still bruised now, and it's all off that one landing on the bin, which was not the worst thing in the world. It sucked, but it wasn't bad. And I'm just in multicolours. I am beautiful. I am a watercolour painting. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed checking the progress every day on what colour I am now. I've gone from black, blue, and purple to The Simpsons. But the whole thing, the whole show was great top to bottom. For an end of year show, it really lifted my spirits. It really did. As I say, I've had a hard year with the wrestling. I've had a hard year personally as well. It's been tough. It's still tough now, but it was getting bad, and I genuinely felt like I wasn't going to continue with the wrestling. I have times where I really don't want to do this anymore, and I really just it's too much. And a lot of it's to do with my daily struggles with autism and autistic burnout, and it's just sometimes it's too much to juggle, and sometimes I genuinely do just want to walk away from wrestling. But then I remember I'll be genuine, right? 100%. The whole point why I do this is to be honest. It's Liam, it's Jenny, it's Richard, it's people that have been in the past with us. It's Danger, it's Ricky, it's Scully. Their passion when it comes through, and seeing them have good performances and good training sessions, regardless of our home stresses, regardless if we go through patches, if we're pissed off with each other, regardless if we're irritated by each other. When you have a show like Game Over and it just works top to bottom, and everything gels, and everyone has fun, and the crowd's roaring, and Jack's just doing his thing like he does, like a absolute maestro. It just it makes it worth it. And then you realize, like, we're doing something good. We're doing something for the community and for ourselves. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this unless we got some enjoyment out of it, because goodness knows, I think, with the pain that we put ourselves through. But when you have shows like that, it really just hits home to why we do it. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do it physically and mentally, but all I know is at this moment, because of that show and because of the last training session that we just had 2 nights ago, I say this with a burning fire in my belly. I'm really, really looking forward to 2025. I don't know if it's going to be stress free. I hope it's going to be a lot less stressful than it was this year, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I haven't felt like that in a while. Some of my highlights from Game Over at that show. So the opening match was Luke Matthews versus the Remnant. The match was good fun. I enjoyed it. But one of the bits that's now become a bit of a meme within the class. There's a moment where the turnbuckle slips, and Jenny was steered on the outside, and she went to go fix it, which she absolutely should have. So she went up and she's fixing the turnbuckle pad. It slipped down, and as she's fixing it, she didn't realize that the Luke and Remnant had a spot hitting in that corner, and Luke ran to the corner, jumped onto half the middle rope and half the top rope, and Jenny's standing right there. And as he leaps through the air, he just shouts, "Jenny!" And it's so funny. And then just backs off and wheel kicks Remnant in the face. Brilliant moment. Funny, just so funny. I'm clipping that now. That's going up. The four-way match that was on that night was hilarious. Jack Ripley, Stone Malone, Lad Chapman, and Struan, who I believe we need to push harder, because I didn't forget we need to keep pushing the Struan Fraser. He wants to move into Struan Fraser, not just Struan. He wants a second one. So Struan Fraser, Lad Chapman, Jack Ripley, and Stone Malone. What a fun match! So funny, so entertaining. One of the things is, like, that's one of the best things about wrestling is you don't always have to take yourself seriously, and it was so funny. All four put on a good one. The opener was good. It was great. I love seeing my trainees getting to work with consummate professionals and having fun and learning as they go. Luke Matthews is getting more and more popular, which I like to see. Harbinger versus Colton Davis. Two big boys going at it. Excellent. Harbinger is going more and more from just an attraction style to an actual worker, and put on a really, really good showing. Colton's really, really popular. Absolutely, of course he is. But again, appreciate looking after my boys. Had the match with Brody, so much fun. Lit a fire in my belly again. Always good fun when me and Brody kick the living shit at each other. Same time next year. The four-way, as I said, it was so entertaining. Connor Rose's promo, threatening folk in the crowd, not realising how difficult it is to get in and out of the ring with crutches. I'm loving Connor's heel turn. I miss Connor Rose's heel work. He's always been a good heel. He's always a loud gobby heel, which is the exact opposite of him in real life. And then the main event, RJ Cash versus Glenn Dunbar. I can honestly say that every single person backstage sat and watched that match on the monitor. Belter of a match. Belter from both. RJ Cash taking that next step on his journey, upped his game. Dunbar doing Dunbar, elevating the person he's working with, but also bringing out that fire, that passion. That was one of my favorite matches I've seen in a long time. It was a good wrestling match. It was bumpy. It was good story. Good versus evil. Pulpy. RJ and Dunbar knocked it out of the park. And of course, RJ is now Combat League Wrestling Champion. Scoops. I'm making eye contact. I'm autistic and I'm making eye contact. Stop calling it the House Championship. The House, you're dead naming the title. It's Combat League Wrestling Championship. Take notes. I'll remind you next show if you don't watch this. But yeah, the whole thing was great. Again, props to Jack. Jack's the man. Doing the sound, and by the way, making me again look amazing. The timing he does with the lights, with the music. The wee flourish where when I said how I was like, I did the twitches to get up after being destroyed in the match. Jack just turned the lights red. Wasn't planned. Didn't ask him to do it. He just turned it red and added to the moment. So he just, yeah. He knows what he's doing. And from a wrestling standpoint, he knows what you need to do to elevate the story. I can't praise that show enough. I can't. I really can't. It was just start to finish. Even in the morning, loading the ring, building the setup. It was just great. Susan, my wife, sorry. So for those who don't know, that's echolalia. That's an autistic trait where your brain either repeats something or it's like repeats either movies, films, music, or if somebody says something, I'll instantly mimic it. So I have strong echolalia. Echolalia is even worse because it's in my head and it's messy in there the whole time with songs and things repeating. But yeah, Susan was front of house again, and I cannot praise her enough. Not just because she's my wife, but because the amount of work she does at that show is unreal. And I'd probably crack under the pressure. And she works on Saturdays as well, so she's doing shifts and doing shows. So awesome. Then we just moved into the training session. A couple of weeks later, we take a week off for review night. That was good fun. We all sit and watch it and give each other feedback, and I feel like it went well. It was a good night. And then we had the last training session of the year, which was just so much fun. Trainees were learning new moves, they were showing new stuff, and then it was just like, you know what, we're going into 2025 strong. We're going in strong. So I'm looking forward to what we do. Next week, as of filming this, we're having the end of year get together, so I'm looking forward to that. Have a bit of fun. And then it's Christmas and New Year. So yeah. I think that's everything. Bit of a ramble, but as I said, I really had to force myself to sit down and do this, and I've actually enjoyed doing it again. So just to wrap off, I should be doing these at the start, and I forget every time. Let's do the socials. So email me at official.letstalkaboutmeh@gmail.com. Ask me questions. Ask me anything you want. If you want me to talk about something, if I've seen anything, if you want me to talk about a movie, or if you just want my opinion on it, music, games, whatever, just fire me an email and I'll mention it. I'm on Instagram, which is my main social media platform, is Let's Talk About Meh 1, and that's on Instagram. I put up clips and daily life stuff and plug the crap out of this channel. Do the usuals. Do the usual YouTube bullshit. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, share. Make me see that little fingers and go, oh, look, I got a like. I feel good today. Nah, I'm just joking. I'm happy if anyone checks this videos out for a wee bit. And it's been fun. It's really been fun. I've just started this and I enjoy it so much. And I had a wee look at the YouTube stats compared to, like, obviously people who do this for a living. It's nothing. It's nothing. I mean, I was going to be happy if I had 8 views, which I mentioned in the first video. Between 5 and 8 views, and every video I've done has more than 5 and 8 views. So I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away. I really want to do more podcasts. They are coming. Unfortunately, I couldn't do the one with Brody because we were too sore, too tired, and we just didn't get a chance. Show weekends are so busy. And then I tried getting Steve. Steve was busy. How dare you have a life? How dare you have things to do? And then I also tried. I tried Richard because I feel that's an interesting conversation. I really want to get a conversation with Richard. And again, just worst time of year for it. Everyone's got stuff on. So I probably won't get a podcast done until New Year, which I'm gutted about because I really want to do another one. I love doing that. Might end up being RJ again before I get to someone else because goodness Lord me, the man likes to talk. Yeah, so let's wrap it up there. Have a good Christmas. Have a good New Year. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to get another video done before Christmas, so there might be a bit of radio silence. But have a good Christmas. Have a good New Year. Take care of yourselves. Don't stress too much. Have a good time. Relax. And then start next year strong. Have a good one, folks. Peace.